I thought I'd start today's video out here in the production area. We've got a whole bunch of BHKs running through these great amplifiers, and here's a, what is this, a BHK 300? I think it's a 250. Lovely amplifier. Here's another, oh, this is a 300 for sure, yeah. And that's a 300, so here's a pair of monoblock amps. And this is the BHK preamp, and the reason I'm here is because our question today is from Dean in London, England. And he writes, "Hey Paul, I love your YouTube videos." Thank you. I love that you watch them. I notice you often mention the advantages of subwoofers, and I'm curious to know how you connect these to a standard hi-fi setup which does not have a dedicated sub output. My system comprises a Musical Fidelity A3CR pre and power amp and Roxanne Darius stand mount speakers. I'm really interested in experimenting with using a sub. Good job, Dean, to see what it might add to the sound. But how would I connect one, and should it be passive or active? Thanks, Dean in London. Well, as many of you know, my favorite way of connecting a subwoofer is through the power amp outputs here. Okay, so not all subs are able to take those. So let's understand what's going on and why I like to do that. The output of the amplifier is a power output. It's a very large signal, and it's where the watts come out to power speakers, right? And if I can jump ahead to the second part of his question, I don't like passive subs. Subs should be actively amplified with their own amplifier, their own crossover that somebody's taken the time to design. And you all know my favorite is Rel subs. They are, well, they used to be a British brand. Now they're American and run by a brilliant fellow named John Hunter. But there are plenty of other good subs. SVS is a good sub. Anyway, there's a number of good subs out, and those have been designed by good people who know what they're doing. And so, yeah, don't use passive subs. That's just a big woofer in a box. You don't want to do that. So why then, if we're using an amplified subwoofer that's already got the amplifier in, why do we want to use the output of a power amp? Do we need those watts? No. What we want is the sound quality signature of the amplifier. Now, every piece of electronics, I know, calm down, electronics have a sound to them. This amplifier sounds different than the amplifier you have at home. It just does. And you got to just take my word for it. I'm happy. By the way, I've made this offer 100 times. If you want to come visit us in Boulder, we are delighted to have you. I know a lot of companies, you have to set it up with your dealer, you got to arrange it. Sometimes the doors are locked and you can't come in. We have big secrets around here. Well, we don't have any secrets. You are always welcome. The only time that it doesn't work is on weekends, because we get everybody the weekend off. Though we have had large groups arrange for a tour on weekends, and if we have the people to handle it, we're more than happy to do it. So we're in Boulder, Colorado. Please do come by. We'll show you all this. We'll explain it to you. You can hear it for yourself. But trust me for the moment. Amps and preamps sound different, and because of that, and because the job of a subwoofer is to disappear and to augment the sound of our main speakers as if the sub were not there, as if our main speakers actually had bass, which they don't, unless you have a built-in subwoofer. Trust me on that. Deep, low bass. Anyway, I'm not going to get going on that, because you'll get me off on a tangent. Not that that ever happens, right? Anyway, the idea is to not hear the sub as something separate. So to do that, we want to take whatever sound the amplifier is offering to the system and keep that sound into the subwoofer. And that's why we want to use the amplified output. So no watts are actually used. It's just the actual signal, the voltage signal that goes out that's fairly large. Now your subwoofer has to have a high-level input, and many of them don't. Of course, the ones I recommend do. So let's imagine that your subwoofer only has the RCA jacks or the XLR jacks on the input, as many subwoofers do. Then you want to be able to use the output. So here's on the BHK. Here's our RCA outputs, and here's our XLR outputs, okay? You can use, if your sub can accommodate it, you can use these or these. And a lot of people will choose one. Now, I prefer XLR for everything I can do. So if we were setting up a BHK system, then I would recommend using XLR cables, good quality ones, between the output of the preamp and the input of the power amp. That leaves the RCA connectors. Then you can take these and run those over to your sub. So let's attend to the last part of his question, which is, what if my equipment doesn't have a dedicated sub output? Thank God it doesn't. Here's why. The only products that really have dedicated sub outputs are usually home theater-based products, integrated surround sound processors and all that. And that's because they run they're running 5-channel and the 5.1, of course the 0.1 in a 5.1, 12.1, whatever 0.1 you got, that 0.1 is that subwoofer output. And that's already going through a filter that's run in the surround processor. When you get into high-end audio, you want to rely on the subwoofer itself to provide that filtering, and you don't want it in this. And that's a good thing that your system doesn't have a separate subwoofer output. So wrap it up real quick. My preference, if your subwoofer has a high-level input, use the output connectors of the power amplifier. If it does not, then use the RCA or XLR on the back of your preamp, integrated or whatever you have. Hope that helps. Good luck, and good job getting into a subwoofer. Yes. Bye.